Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.
Hey everybody, good evening and welcome to the Tuesday night edition of Into the Night with me, your host Sean Kelly. What a sunny day today. It was the high of 51. And as I can see here, Heidi's getting pizza. Okay, Heidi, listen, you got to get the anchovies. Get extra anchovies and no pepperoni, just cheese and them little sardine pieces of crap. Kevin, Heidi, Mish, good to see you all. Michelle, oh wow, we got a big crowd. We got a pro. Welcome. Everybody is in tonight, man, and I'm happy to see all this. Don't forget the anchovies. Yep, hairy fish, right, Mish? I want to thank UPRN Talk Radio 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans for allowing me to give you 2 shows a week, Sunday and Tuesday night, on UPRN Talk Radio, 8:10 p.m. to 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, my dear friend C.L. Thomas, the Gateway Podcast, is coming on right after my show. So, when you're done with my show, go over and give her some love. Tim Vogel, good to see you, sir. Good to see you. And W Animals and stuff. Thank you for coming on and watching. But yeah, so after my show, CL's The Gateway Podcast will be coming on, and it's has some good shows. Okay, there's a lot of people on here. Oh, I'm glad that you are a fellow streamer there, Roman. Okay, Discord Roman. Okay. I got to learn how to do that damn Discord, honestly, and then I'll be able to communicate with you guys. That would be good. But one day I'll learn it. Let's see, what else? Yes, today we had the high of 51 degrees here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yesterday, the high was 18. You know what I mean? Now, it was nice to see the sun out. What was really cool about it too was a lot of young mums. They were out with their babies, in their strollers, just walking around the block. People had their dogs out walking. It was a really nice sight to see. But the deal is right now, with all that damn snow we had, um, and it just melted, and we have all our icicles are coming down. It's going to be a mess now, but for now, I'm kind of happy that it's in the 50s, and I'm happy for that. Uh, Kevin, good to see you, buddy. So let's get the show going. Tonight, I have my dear friend. He's an author, Maxim Furek. -3 Celsius here. Okay, rub it in, Kevin. There she is. Hey, CL, good to see you, honey. Good to see you. So tonight, my guest tonight is a dear friend of mine. Is Maxim Furek. He is an author of many books out there, but the book that he came on my show at the beginning was Cold Region Hoodoo, and who's Mia? Hi, Mia. I'm just trying my hardest not getting too excited. Okay. But and Max, I've had him on my show 3 or 4 different times now. And so, he sent me a link. He sent a lot of people a link about him. He got interviewed in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And I have that paper right there. And I was talking to him and I was saying, why don't you just come on the show and I can do the interview with you on here. So wherever me and Max go tonight, it's going to be great. And without further ado, my dear friend, Mr. Maxim Furek. Let me get him on here. Good evening, Max. Good to see you.
Good evening. Hey, Happy New Year, Sean.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Yeah, yes, it has been.
Yeah.
How's the weather down there?
Well, I'm in Florida. My wife and I are snowbirds. So we spend summers in the mountains of northeastern Pennsylvania looking for Sasquatch and haven't found them yet. And down here in Florida, we're on the Gulf side. So, it's a great lifestyle. And I do a lot of writing when I'm down here, a lot of the research. And then when I go back home to Pennsylvania, I put the final touches on it, the little finesse. So that's how I've been writing. And it's just a formula that works great for me. But listen, I want to thank you for that shout out to the wonderful Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and Marianne Thomas, who contacted me and did a wonderful article on my fascination, I guess, my intrigue for Western Pennsylvania and the Chestnut Ridge and Greene County and everything that happens there. And Sean, I've told a lot of people, I think there's something in the water out there in Western Pennsylvania. And I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of high strangeness out there. There's, I think, very few areas of the country that can boast the amount of paranormal elements of high strangeness that Western Pennsylvania has. Plus the culture with George Romero and Night of the Living Dead and everything else. It's just like a really fascinating cultural epicenter. And the stories, the total story hasn't been told yet. So, so we're just excited about being part of that. And I do want to say this with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, with their circulation of 83,000, on Thursdays and Sundays, I believe they have the print edition, but I can't tell you the amount of people that reached out to me, either called me or emailed me and said, hey Heidi, good to see you, that they read about me. And then I got invited to a bunch of paranormal conferences because of that article on Sunday. Doors open up. Paranormal is such a wonderful, energized community. And for somebody like me, I can't believe the doors that are opening and just the kindness that Sean, like people like you have shown me, in my books. So I'm very grateful to be, one of your fellows.
Well, Kevin says hi, Maxim. But you know what, Max, you're right, and there must be something in the water, because my town, Pittsburgh, okay, in the surrounding areas, there's just so much history of steel mills, the railroad, everything, and all kinds of craziness, and that's what makes Pittsburgh really, really unique, when
Hmm.
it comes to the paranormal and stuff like that.
Well, even,
Um,
and even if I may, not just the paranormal, but even somebody like I think it was Carnegie, that because of the Johnstown flood, it's my understanding that his group used like poor equipment or poor materials for that dam. And he took responsibility for that dam break in Johnstown, way back when. It's my understanding that Carnegie vowed to build a museum for every person that died there. Have you ever heard that? That
no,
legend of
no,
that?
no, no, no. What Carnegie did, I didn't hear about that.
Okay.
Um, but what Carnegie did was everywhere he went, okay, he built libraries.
Hmm.
That's what he did. He built libraries down in Bronzeville, here in Homestead, all over the place in Carnegie. And but what he did, especially the one over in Homestead, at that time you had the steel mill over there. Okay,
Hmm.
and what Carnegie did was he built this massive library, but he also put a pool in there for the workers. Okay, so the library has a pool in it, and some other libraries have basketball courts in it.
Ah.
And so he took care of people, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I really haven't done no research on Carnegie, just what I know by going and
Yeah.
investigating his libraries.
Hmm.
But it's very, very, very haunted. But you just didn't have Carnegie here. You had the Mellons, you had the Fricks.
Hmm.
I mean, bigwigs. Money was
Yeah.
Pittsburgh had money, and
Yeah.
um, if you go down to, it's called an area of the north side. It's called the Mexican War Streets. Okay, those are some old ass houses down there, and they are very, very haunted. Point
Huh.
Park is haunted. I mean, there's just so much I can go on forever and ever. So for an author like you, okay, there's just so much material here in Pittsburgh that would just open up things for you. But you were saying something about early in the show when you started. You were saying you hunting Bigfoot up here. Where at?
Oh, you mean the expo?
No, 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 no. You said you'd come up here and hunt Bigfoot.
No, I said when I go back home. I said my wife and I are snowbirds. I said when we go back home to the mountains of northeastern Pennsylvania, we go on the trails, looking to see what we could find. And there's mountains there, and there's some really remote areas. So, you know, and then down here in Florida, we do the same thing. So there, but it's different down here. It's like the desert. It's just sandy and pine trees and all that. Totally different environment. But
Well done. Hey, Joe Fox, good to see you, buddy. Um, so down in Florida, don't they have? Is it called the swamp ape?
yeah, yeah. And the what I've heard now, this is again, you don't have one agency that's keeping track of all this stuff, but I think it was the Travel Channel said Pennsylvania was number three as far as cryptid sightings,
Yep.
after California and Washington State, and then followed by Florida with their skunk ape sighting. So, you know, I know, I talk about this a lot. I had a neighbor that saw not one but two Bigfoot creatures, and I talked to him. I interviewed him. I said, "Listen, I know this guy Stan Gordon. Would you mind if he called you and talked to you?" And he said no. So I put Stan in touch with him. And anyway, my neighbor Joe saw not one but two Bigfoot, and he was driving out of the cemetery. And one was cinnamon, that was the larger one. The other one was black. And I
Right.
asked Joe how they acted. He said they just looked at him like they were curious, and then turned and walked away, walked like humans.
Okay.
And in pretty much most of the Bigfoot sightings, I mean, they're sort of, they're not very dramatic. They're kind of boring. That Bigfoot is elusive, maybe curious, but elusive, goes away fast. You don't see him for a long amount of time, and but not typically aggressive. I mean, you don't very often hear about any kind of attacks from Bigfoot. And probably the most notorious one is President Theodore Roosevelt, who wrote about this hairy, shaggy creature that killed a fellow hunter in Montana. So that's documented, and that's our president. That's not in very recent days.
Hmm. Now, Joe Fox, he says, Maxim, Joe's from Northeast Pennsylvania,
Okay.
Woods. But let me ask you this, okay? And in your studying of Bigfoot and other cryptids, where do you think the Bigfoot come from? Do you think they're interdimensional, or do you think they're government made? What, in all your research that you have done in all this, what is your final conclusion?
Well, I'll tell you, what brought me to the final conclusion was that after all these thousands of years, throughout the world, whether it's Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Abominable Snowman, Yeti, Almas, whatever you want to call it, after all these years of looking for this creature, with paid expeditions by the Russian and the Chinese and everybody else. I mean, there's money that was put into this, looking for this creature, and we haven't found anything. So because we haven't found any bodies or any DNA, I think there has to be another reason. I think they exist, and they may even be flesh and blood, but I think they're interdimensional. I think that they shape shift in and out of a dimension. And I believe too that with the stench, as they come from their dimension to ours, you have that stench, and that's part of their dimension, like a potato cellar, something
Right.
Moldy or moist, okay, and rank smelling. But I think that's what it is. They talk about Bigfoot not walking but gliding, that it has bilocation, that you see it in front of you and then it's behind you. I mean, just things that go against science. It doesn't make any sense what they do. And then, Sean, in your backyard, Western Pennsylvania, Chestnut Ridge, not only do we have Bigfoot sightings, but to complicate things, it's Bigfoot sightings coupled with, intertwined with orbs or flying saucers. So again,
Right. And
Bigfoot and saucers together. I mean,
I totally agree with you on that, Max, because I believe they work together.
And jelly.
Yeah, they work together. I have no doubt, because every time I read about,
and why do they work together?
I personally think it's just that they're from another dimension, and the reason why I was going to explain it was whenever I read about a Bigfoot sighting, okay, my first thing after I read the article is I go and I check out the area of how much UFO activity was in that area.
Okay, good.
And the majority of it, that there was a lot of UFOs. So I believe that's why when you see things on TV, or when you hear people talking, 1 minute they're there, 1 minute they're gone. Okay. I believe that they just jump through portals and they are helped by the aliens. That's the way I'm looking at it, and I've been doing podcasts for about 6-7 years now, and I've had a ton of guests on. I had Bigfoot people, I've had UFO and alien people on, and I have no doubt in my mind that Bigfoot and the UFOs work together. Same way with the dogmen, okay? They exist, no doubt. Here in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure all over around the world, we also have thunderbirds.
Yeah, exactly.
They look like pterodactyls, is what they look like.
Exactly, yeah. Uh-huh.
Have you witnessed any dogmen or any pterodactyl-looking things?
No, I haven't. But when we were back home a couple years ago, I thought I saw a Bigfoot, and my wife and it was, it had been after winter. And it was just getting nice and everything, with the sun and everything. And we're walking along the Susquehanna River down a place called the Riverlands, and we're walking there. And I look in front of me, and I see this dark shape, and it comes closer, and I'm looking, and it's taking shape. Your eyes can't see that far, so as it gets closer, it takes shape. And I look, and I thought, what if that's a Bigfoot? Now, just for a microsecond, this thing moves behind a tree to block my view and then comes towards me again, has these shoulders, these really huge shoulders. And I look and here it's a woman wearing this black, almost like, I guess, a fur coat with those padded shoulders.
Right.
So for maybe 1001, 1002, 1003, maybe 3 seconds, 4 seconds, I thought I saw a Bigfoot. No, it wasn't a Bigfoot. It was, it was optical illusion or whatever, what I thought I was saying, but it wasn't a Bigfoot. But for those seconds, I had that feeling, Sean, that feeling of awe, that wow, I've seen one. You know what I mean? And
right.
I never
exactly.
have, but I said to my wife, I said, man, that's what it feels like, to have seen one. But I didn't, but I thought I did. So, I mean, believing is all about perception. And, but I tell that story just because, like I was in the moment with that, and I just so wanted to see one. You know what I mean? I was hoping. Maybe when I go through the woods, I'm always looking for a Bigfoot. I think I'm just, hoping that I will.
Well, can I give you a suggestion?
Yeah, please do.
Go to the woods and don't look.
Okay.
Seriously, because, and that's the same way of paranormal investigating, ghost hunting, is that if you go to a place and you're seriously looking and wanting to see a ghost, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards, you're not going to see nothing. You're not going to hear nothing. But if you go into a place where you're like laid back and relax and set up the cameras and nonchalantly, okay, then you'll get evidence.
Yeah. I've heard that before.
Yeah. Don't look.
Patient. Be patient.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean, think about it, right?
Yeah.
And because I've been doing it for so many years, and I've gone to places where I'd sit in a room, total pitch black, talking to something that might not be there. You know what I mean? And but what fascinates me about the Bigfoot in your studies, so they're elusive, they have a stench, the whole 9 yards, but how come the only thing we see are feet? Because you heard about the one dude that actually made Bigfoot feet and put it all over.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what's not to say that there's somebody out there all over the place making these imprints?
Yeah. Well, you could connect that to the crop circles. We had a lot of crop circles that were hoaxes. These guys were good. They're artists. But then we also had crop circles that we could never figure out what they were. So,
right.
There's some truth in that. There's an anomaly. There's a bit of hoax mixed in with that. But just because some of it's been hoaxed, don't think that it's all been hoaxed. I just think, and it's the same thing with cattle mutilations. We've had plenty of those in the state of Pennsylvania, especially in the 70s. But again, what's the conclusion? What's the answer to that? I mean, we still haven't come up with anything that explains.
I do. I do. We could talk about it, and we could talk about the cattle mutilations. And what we have to go on break. It is the bottom of the hour. So everybody, I'm going to take a couple-minute break. Go to the bathroom, get a cigarette, get a coffee, do what you got to do, and we'll see you back here in a couple minutes.
The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the second part of Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. I want to thank UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans. Don't forget, uh, Miss C.L. Thomas, he's coming on after my show tonight at 9:15, I do believe. Scotsman, brother, good to see you, brother. Thank you, Heidi. And don't forget to go over and check her podcast site, the Gateway Podcast, right after mine. Go over and give her some love and tell her I sent you. Let's see what else I have. Oh, yeah, real quick. So 7 days a week on UPR and Talk Radio, we have a lot of good hosts with a lot of good shows. Okay, you got the Angel Rock with Laura Lee. You got CL, then you got Don and Darren Yazzie on Sunday nights. Wednesday nights, you got Michelle, the Outer Round. Then Thursday nights, I gotta do Joe's show. Then in Joe's show on Wednesday. So, and Friday, you can catch me every now and then on News on the Flip Side. They are coming up close to the polls for the election coming up, so more than likely I'll be on those for the polls. And definitely Saturday night at 7:10 p.m. we got the chat. It's the number one program on UPR and Talk Radio. Heidi goes and a lot of other people go on to watch the chat, and you know what's so cool about the chat is that we talk about everything and anything, man. There's no politics, maybe now and then. Anything we want to talk about. We have a segment on the chat, and it's called Food Porn. And we talk about food. Max, I want to welcome back Max, who's my guest tonight, a very dear friend of mine, paranormal author Maxim Furek. But Joe has a question for you.
Oh, yeah.
Maxim, where are you from, and do you come to Pennsylvania a lot?
Yeah, I'm originally from Berwick, Pennsylvania, which is the resting place of Nicholas Adamczak. He was the rebel, Johnny Uba, back in the 60s. And a lot of us baby boomers grew up with him. Well, Nick Adams is buried in Berwick, Pennsylvania. But I was born in Berwick, the same as Richard Sharp Shaver. And Shaver was involved in those Shaver mysteries. You know, he was born in Berwick around 1907, I believe. And he claimed that he was working in a car factory, and that he was abducted by these robots that kept him in prison, in the caves. And they wrote about this in Amazing Stories as a true story. They called it the Shaver Mystery. People believed that this was happening. They thought it was a true thing. This was back in the 40s. And this was before we looked for the UFOs up in the air. You know, we were looking like H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. We were looking inside the earth. But Richard Sharp Shaver from Berwick tapped into that, and just an amazing, amazing story. The end story with that, though, Sean, is that Shaver was investigated by the FBI for triggering the UFO hysteria of the late 40s. And that surrounded Kenneth Arnold in 47, and also the Roswell incident of 47. So
interesting.
Yeah. So Richard Sharp Shaver, a shout out for him.
3 Mile Island, Joe. Yeah, I live near 3 Mile. And in fact, Joe, when I worked on the river on the towboats down there, we would go by 3 Mile Island. That was scary. That was a scary situation down there. That was scary. Yeah. I remember when that went off.
I'll say something else too. You know, with horror movies, like back in the 50s, where some of these monsters or people got radiated, you know, the effects of radiation or nuclear bombs or whatever. And it was almost the first, I think, environmental advocates, you know, that we've had. I mean, through horror movies. And I mean, you look at what's happening with all that, you know. I thought that was kind of prophetic. And then, you know.
Deep water scares me. You're cute, Mish. You're cute. But you know what? Speaking of that, Okay, so you've heard of the Mothman, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we
and
visited there.
this is my own personal thought. You know, I thought I would lose a lot of listeners due to this, but I don't believe the Mothman exists. Okay,
Okay.
at the time when that was occurring, um, the town where the Mothman comes from, and I'm telling you what, they were doing some illegal things with waste, biologic waste,
Okay.
and brought the government in and all this shit. And in order to throw people off, they came up with this bat guy, human type of thing, the Mothman, you
Mm,
know. And I personally don't believe the Mothman exists.
okay.
CL says, yes, I am part of a study for my cancer. They think it was a result of 3 Mile Island. Sorry to hear that, CL,
Hmm.
but it's very possible.
Well,
In fact,
you you
Me and Max were talking about my cancer situation, and I really can't do it, or else we'll get a hit and I'll get in trouble, and UPRN could be booted off. So I can't talk about mine, but yeah, I can imagine. You know, Three
mhm,
Mile Island was a scary situation.
yeah,
I remember
and
when it went off.
yeah, and that was, let me see, 1979. And then I remember I went to a
Woo.
rally, an anti-nuke rally in 1980 down there. Yeah, so that was kind of
CL
crazy.
says I had throat cancer, and there is a huge Western PA cluster with that. Yeah,
What of
it was throat
yeah,
cancer
yeah,
from
huh,
Western Pennsylvania people. That's
yeah.
why Pennsylvania is weird. Like you said, it's in the water, dude. But
Yeah.
back to cow
Or
mutilations, my friend. Back
could
to
be in the
cow mut.
pierogies.
No, I don't think so, brother. Anybody out there, man, you want a good pierogi, you just come to Pittsburgh,
I
man,
know.
during Lent.
Yeah,
And you just go to the Slovakian churches,
yeah.
and all the people, all the Slovakian ladies, man,
With
they,
butter and onions.
oh, dude, you just don't know, man. And I'm
Yeah, I
telling
do
you, it's
know.
not the pierogies that you get in the supermarket.
Yeah, I know.
These
Yeah,
are
yeah. Yeah, they're
kibasi. Oh,
all.
hell yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
God bless. Yeah, kibasa.
Okay.
Oh, definitely. And oh yeah, Lent's coming up. So you know what that means for the
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Catholics. Okay, it's going to be fish fries all
Yeah.
over that. Oh, get rid of the ranch dressing, CL. Nah,
Yeah.
gross. Put a ton of butter on it, not the ranch dressing. Shit. Hey, CL, while you got you on, who's your guest tonight after my show? But back to the cow mutilations there, Max.
Yeah.
Um, we've done a couple shows when I've been on the chat and in News on the Flip Side. And the cow mutilations are not done by extraterrestrials. Okay. They,
Hmm.
her guest, CL's Thomas, is David L. Sloan. Okay. But what happens is, okay, that especially around Area 51, okay, where they're doing all kinds of work with nuclear stuff, okay,
Right.
that the government comes in and mutilates the cows. And what they do is they go in and they get their innards, okay,
Hmm.
they get their innards, and then they study those innards. You know, how is it affecting the cow?
Hmm.
That's where the cow mutilations are coming.
So they do sloppy work. If they would take the
Yeah.
carcass with
But
us,
you know what
with them,
else, though?
I mean that.
Do
So
you
I
know?
don't know.
Do
I mean
you?
seriously, if no, let me just throw this out. If it was a governmental thing, I mean they're not that stupid. I mean they would take the entire carcass with them, and then there'd be very little evidence.
They
I'm thinking
just
it
they.
has to be something else.
Well, if that's how you feel, I don't feel that way. I believe it was the government
Okay.
taken up.
Okay.
But do you know? Do you know that for every dead cow that's out there, the farmers get $2,500 per cow?
Okay. Didn't know that.
So the farmers don't worry about their cows being killed because they get money for it.
Okay.
CL has CL has a question. She goes, "Did Key West kill JFK?
Did Key West?
Kill JFK?"
I don't know who killed JFK, but in my book, Paranormal Apocalypse, I talk about how all these young people took their credit cards and cashed out and flew down to Dallas,
Ah,
Texas, because
huh,
some internet dude told them that the images of John F. Kennedy, President, and John F. Kennedy Jr. were going to emerge at the same time in November when Kennedy had been assassinated. And a lot of people bought into it. Now, tell me if that's not Looney Tunes crazy beyond paranormal, or
well, you
it's
know what,
closer
Max?
to insanity. I mean, who would do that?
Max, you got to watch CL's show tonight after mine because
Okay.
that's her show tonight. That's her show. Did Key West kill JFK? So you got to check it out. Mish
Okay.
says, how did they remove all that blood without leaving a drop behind? They just, I guess, zapped them. If you really want to know about this, Max, and anybody out there about the cow mutilations, you know, go Wednesday nights on Joe Montaldo's show,
John Montel. Okay.
UFO Undercover, and just ask the question, and he will tell you because Joe knows his stuff about aliens and UFOs. He really
Okay.
does.
Yeah.
He belongs to a group called ICAR.
Okay.
I forget what it meant.
Yeah. And speaking of saucers with MUFON, now that Fred passed, he was, I guess, the president, right? Here in Western
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
well, he was like one of the top people in MUFON. Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah. And so now who's out there
I
now?
don't have a clue because I have a problem with I personally, I don't know. There's just too many chiefs and not enough Indians in
Oh,
MUFON today. So
okay.
who do you believe? And here's my theory about MUFON, dude. Okay, so all of a sudden I'm sitting here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in my backyard, and I see a flying saucer flying by, a UFO, and then I call MUFON, and the UFO might be here a split second. And then they send people out to investigate it. Investigate what?
Hmm.
How can they investigate something that was just here
So
for a
what they did,
split
they just
second?
took your story, right?
Well, no, that's a scenario, dude.
Oh,
That's
okay. Yeah.
just,
Okay. I see. Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Well.
what I mean? And I can never um, understand why even MUFON existed. And that's another topic you can talk to Joe Montaldo about.
Hmm.
And CL says, I always wondered what too about the cows. And I think they just zap them, girl. Honest to gosh, I do believe. And they go in and,
Yeah.
God only knows what kind of instruments they have out there today where they can come. Look at my cancer, right? They showed it to me. And they just stuck something right here on my side, very little blood, dude.
Well,
And
even if they could get the cow's liver, that tells a lot. The enzymes and everything. So that would be a good way to gauge the environment and what's going
not
on.
true. But Mish, I totally understand where you're coming from. I still have a hard time believing in it. But, Joe Montaldo is very intelligent about cow mutilations and alien and UFOs. You might want to talk to him, but you're still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the farmers would collect a 2,000, 2,500 per cow, so they're not really concerned about it.
Okay. Huh.
Joe Fox says, I'm so incredibly interested in Bigfoot sightings in Pennsylvania. I've been in the deep woods hunting for almost 45 plus years. Yeah, and Joe, you're probably going to hunt another 45 years, my friend.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But, Nish, but I know I'm alive, but God only knows what happens to the cows. But it's
Hmm.
not extraterrestrial. I believe it's the government.
Okay.
And most of those mutilations occur around Area 51,
Hmm.
where they're working on all kinds of stuff.
Hmm.
So, what's on the agenda there, buddy? What's coming up for you?
Well, after that Pittsburgh Post Gazette article this last Sunday, 2 days ago, I started to get all these calls. So, like, I'm going to be a guest speaker at the Forest County Bigfoot Expo, and that's, I believe, in June. And yeah, the Marionville in Forest County.
I
And
know where
then,
that's at. I know where
okay,
that's at.
then also I'm going to be a guest speaker, speaking about the Schmerl haunting, though, at the on August the 29th at the Inner Dimensions Paranormal Expo in Connellsville, and that's in Fayette County. And I'm looking forward to
Talking about a haunted town. Connellsville's very haunted, dude.
Okay, that's going
Oh
to be
yeah.
pretty cool. That'll be cool. And I think Fayette County is where they found a location for Buffalo Bill, the weird guy from
Yeah, his house
Silence.
still stands. His
Yeah,
house still
Silence of the Lambs.
stands.
So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
I mean, again, that's just a tiny little factoid, but where's it at? Well, it's in Chestnut Ridge.
No, it's standing. A lot of people do investigate it.
Yeah.
Joe Fox says, "Great guest, Sean. Great to meet you, Maximum."
Oh, thank you so much. It's great. The Coal Region Hoodoo's flashing by, but if you're interested in any of my other books, I've written, my latest books are The Schmerl Haunting, when Ed and Lorraine came to town, and that's the same theme, only the true theme of behind Conjuring the Last Rites. And then the other one is Paranormal Apocalypse, Is This How It Ends? And we take a look at the end times, what's known as eschatology, how the end plays out. And I look at that through revelations and also through some of the paranormal stuff. And, so far it's getting some pretty good reviews, but, just to know that fear rules us, and we have to fight that fear. Okay. And we have to
Why do you think fear
control it.
rules us? Why do you think that, Max?
Okay.
Why
Because
do-
I think that, it's a primal instinct. It's one of the first emotions that we experience. But with yeah, ask it again. Ask me again. I'm blocking. Why do I think that?
Yeah, why do you think we have fear?
Yeah, I think that since we were little children, that we've been sort of warned by our parents, by religion, by society, about conforming. Certainly, like, we're filled with fear with a lot of the religions that, for example, if you don't follow their dictates, if you don't go to church on Sundays, and if you don't read your Bible, then you're going to go to hell, or the devil's going to get you. So we've had, horrible, warnings like that. And then with society, with the media telling us about Armageddon and the next pandemic, and the next nuclear bomb, with the doom clock ticking a little bit closer to midnight, this last one that just happened a couple of weeks ago. So, a lot of things that a lot of people would feel apprehensive about. There's a lot of uncertainty with the politics. I mean, actually, everything's been turned upside down. So there's a lot of division in our country, a lot of uncertainty with that. And people are afraid of the unknown. And Sean, it wasn't me, but it was H.P. Lovecraft that said that the most basic emotion of man is fear. And the most powerful emotion is fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft said that. And I think that's pretty much what a lot of us are, dealing with, when the reality is that we can control that fear. We
Right.
are in control, so.
So how can people reach you, buddy?
Yeah, if they want to get in touch with me, though, I have a website. It's www.maximfurek.com, and it's up there on the screen. And then if they're interested in finding out any more about me, they could get on my website or check out some of my books. Or, if they want a signed copy, just contact me directly through my website, and that would be great.
Hey, Max, I want to thank you for coming on tonight, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Yeah, I had a good time. So thank you so much. And also for your listeners, I hope that they found this enjoyable.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Everybody knows that I pull a card. Joe Fox is in. what I do at the end of my shows now is I'll pull an animal medicine card, and when I pull the card, okay, that card is for the week, and it could guide you for your week, and how it is helpful in your life, for this week. Now, um, Heidi says, "Thank you, Maximum. Always enjoy."
Okay. Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate it.
And so I'm going to pull a card, and my friend Joe Fox is going to look it up and put it there in the chat for us. And if you don't think that animal card is for you, then don't sweat it, because I pull 2 cards a week. So everybody, I'm going to shuffle in the cards. If you want to hang around, Max, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, very good.
All right, so everybody, I just shuffled. Okay, and I'm cutting the deck, and let's see what comes out. Ooh, this is new. You ready, Joe Fox? The otter. The otter. And Joe will look it up and he'll put it up there. But to me, when I put that card, the otter, they swim in the water. They're very aggressive animals. So if if anybody relates, you're a very aggressive person, but you need to be with your family. You need to be, protection for family. And they attack crocodiles and stuff like that. And I don't know, but the otter is a pretty cool animal. I kind of find it, you look at them and they're all friendly, happy-go-lucky. But I tell you what, sir, the otter can be really, really craziness. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do, everybody. I'm going to look it up real quick before Joe goes.
Okay. See ya. Taking off.
Oh, you leaving?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Take care, Sean.
All right, Max. Have a good one.
We'll keep in touch.
Thanks,
you. Sean. Okay,
Thank you. Bye now. Heidi says she watched the Aquanauts, the kids show, and today was about the otter guy talking about. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, Joe Fox got the otter, and it says an otter as a spirit animal symbolizes playfulness, joy, adaptability, and strong social connections, encouraging you to embrace creativity and intuition while balancing responsibility and fun in life. Oh man, we all need that, don't we? Joe, for putting that up, my friend. And I'll read it one more time. Sorry it took so long. I had to pee. Okay, I hope you took it in. I'm not going there. But Joe Fox, thanks again, my friend, for putting that up. Again, I want to thank Maxim for coming on and just, being a guest. And it's always good to see him. I want to thank everybody out there who in the chat room. And thank you, Heidi. And just thank for all the people who are watching the show in 160 different countries that we're in. Children, if you can, please go to your parents, give them a hug and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, go give them a hug and tell them that you love them. If you have no parents, if you have no children, find someone, give them a hug and tell them that you love them. Because those 3 words go a long way. I love you go a long way. And on that note, good night, everybody. Don't forget, go over and check out the Gateway Podcast with C.L. Thomas. And we'll see you next Sunday.